And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of April 1st, 2019 are about to head your way. Go ahead and press the record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Picasso had his blue period, Rodriguez made it big with a blue dog, and Levi Strauss hit pay dirt with blue jeans. But when we come back, I'll tell you how a blue book can help you make some green.
O'Reilly. If your vehicle isn't stopping like it used to, visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for the Spring Brake Deals event. Take advantage of the O'Reilly Auto Parts Do It Right rebate and get a $20 O'Reilly gift card by mail when you buy a set of Brake Best Select pads and a pair of rotors. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Trading in your car? Before you think green, think blue. Blue Book, that is. Yes, how much a car's worth is found in Kelly's Blue Book. Available at traditional or online bookstores, the Blue Book lists values for specific makes and years, including add-ons for low mileage and subtractions for high. In addition, you'll find dollar amounts for extras like power windows, sunroofs, or air conditioning. Remember, Blue Book prices are average values, but if your car's in red-hot shape, you're in the green because it's worth even more. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Your car's acting up until you take it to your mechanic. Then it performs perfectly until you leave the shop. Wish for a way to end this madness? When I come back, I'll tell you how.
O'Reilly.
If If your vehicle isn't stopping like it used to, visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for the Spring Brake Deals event. Take advantage of the O'Reilly Auto Parts Do It Right rebate and get a $20 O'Reilly gift card by mail when you buy a set of Brake Best Select pads and a pair of rotors. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
There is a way to end the madness when your car won't act up for your mechanic the way it does when you drive it. Here's your repair shop prescription. Keep a diary. Record when and where your car displays its bad behavior. Note the weather. Is it hot, cold, raining? How much gas was in the tank? And was the engine warm or cold? Keep this diary for a week. Then share the information with your automotive physician, your mechanic. You'll be surprised at the facts you gather and the heartburn you avoid. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Heard about the new hot spot in town? It's not a jazz club, a cafe, nor a sports bar. But this spot's so hot, you could get burned. When I come back, I'll tell you how to avoid getting steamed.
O'Reilly.
If your vehicle isn't stopping like it used to, visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for the Spring Brake Deals event. Take advantage of the O'Reilly Auto Parts Do It Right rebate and get a $20 O'Reilly gift card by mail when you buy a set of Brake Best Select pads and a pair of rotors. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
During the holidays, mall parking lots are hotbeds of activity, and you could get your goose cooked in two ways: accidents and crimes. Yes, parking lot accidents account for 20% of crash claims, so pay extra attention when backing out and avoid driving diagonally across lots. And to escape the 750,000 violent crimes committed every year in parking lots, report suspicious activity or persons to mall security. Now rejoice. The only goose cooked this season will be on your holiday table. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. Your car's been Old Faithful for 60,000 miles. But now it's starting to run hotter, especially in slow traffic. Before it erupts, I may have a cure. And when we come back, I'll tell you.
O'Reilly.
If your vehicle isn't stopping like it used to, visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for the Spring Brake Deals event. Take advantage of the O'Reilly Auto Parts Do It Right rebate and get a $20 O'Reilly gift card by mail when you buy a set of Brake Best Select pads and a pair of rotors. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
If Old Faithful's too hot because rust and corrosion have formed in its radiator, here's a cure. Pour 3 ounces granulated spick and span into your radiator and drive 2 weeks. Then drain the dirty, toxic fluid from your radiator and take it to your repair shop for disposal. Refill the radiator with plain water and drive an hour to dissolve leftover impurities. Continue this process until only clean water's drained. Then, fill your radiator with a 50-50 mix of water and coolant. Now, you can erupt with happiness at avoiding costly repairs caused by overheating. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Mother Nature used to call the shots with real motor oil. But then Sister Synthetic got the ball. But wait, Mother may have rallied. Whew! When I come back, I'll do a play-by-play for the Oilers.
O'Reilly O'Reilly.
If your vehicle isn't stopping like it used to, visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for the Spring Brake Deals event. Take advantage of the O'Reilly Auto Parts Do It Right rebate and get a $20 O'Reilly gift card by mail when you buy a set of Brake Best Select pads and a pair of rotors. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
There's a game of fantasy football played right in your engine. It's Mother Nature's oil versus Sister Synthetics. Here are the stats. Mother Nature's oil was undefeated in the early days as the lubricant of choice. Then Sister Synthetic came to town, delivering a superior product, but at a higher price. Now, Mother Nature may have the ball again with a new process called Pure Base Refining, which claims to mimic synthetic superiority, but more economically. Wow, what an exciting Oilers playoff, because you, the consumer, will be the ultimate winner. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Another drop-dead gorgeous day. I hope that your week was just, if it was 50% as successful as ours, and we measure success in our service shop. And by the way, I'm Bobby Likis. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Duh. We'll take your car questions. Hannah will put you in the queue at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. So this week was a fantastic week, and a little later in the program, I'm going to share with you how we actually revived an engine that was flatlined, and it came to us on the hook. It did not run. It had not run since Christmas, thereabouts, and it was an older automobile, a 1998 model, and it was a V8 Jaguar. And I want to share that with you because the whole team, the whole Car Clinic team was ecstatic, as was the owner when we delivered that car yesterday. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this morning by O'Reilly Auto Parts. When you need an auto part but you can't get to the store, just visit O'ReillyAuto.com. You can buy your parts online and pick them up at your O'Reilly Auto Parts store or of your choice. No shipping costs, easy returns, and convenient pickup on your schedule. Shop your way for the parts you need at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Using HEST high-energy solvent technology, Berryman's B12 Chem Tool dissolves gum, varnish, and carbon deposits in the fuel system that restores lost power and peak performance. But don't take our word for it. Retired airline pilot Captain Cal knows something about fuel systems and engines. After using B12 Chem Tool in his 76 Thunderbird, Cal says the vehicle runs better than new. According to Cal, it performs like a DC-9, his favorite airplane. Learn more about Berryman B12 Chem Tool and other great products at BerrymanProducts.com. Motorrad, a longtime OE supplier, is a leader in automotive thermostats, caps, and engine management products. Motorrad's manufacturing facilities feature state-of-the-art equipment with strict quality control and functional testing, ensuring high-quality, long-lasting products. Motorrad delivers world-class product development for its advanced thermal and engine management programs, providing parts, accessories, and kits needed to do the job right the first time, every time. Motorrad provides parts for virtually any vehicle and engine on or off the road. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service. A customer dropped off a '99 Ford Ranger for a routine oil change service, and she mentioned that the truck was misfiring on occasion. The road test confirmed a misfire under load, even though there was no check engine light or any other codes to be found. While performing the oil service, we found the coolant level low, sending up an immediate red flag. A quick check of the ignition system revealed the number 5 cylinder was the missing culprit. We pulled out all 6 plugs and did a quick compression test. All cylinders were pretty close at 200,000 miles. We then inspected the plugs closely, and the one from number 5 had traces of coolant on it. Antifreeze will leave a greenish yellow tint on the electrodes. This engine had a small head gasket leak or a cracked cylinder head. Tear down and inspection was more than the truck was worth. So we suggested K-Seal. We poured in the product, drove the truck, topped off the coolant, and installed a fresh set of spark plugs. It's been over a month, and the car's doing great. For more information, go to kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Every Saturday from 10 till noon, we come to you from the center of the automotive universe, which happens to be located on the beautiful Gulf Coast of Florida, actually Pensacola, Florida. And our fair city has fared very well and is faring very well. It's growing by leaps and bounds, and it's, I started to say fun to watch, but it's refreshing more so than fun. A lot of fun too, but it's refreshing to watch what at one time was a sleepy city. 9 o'clock at night, the streets were rolled up, as they say. I don't know where that, I'm sure there's some history with the streets roll up or close up at 9 p.m. at night, but the bottom line, our streets are open, a lot of people downtown. So it's sort of a revived downtown, and has not only been revived, but it's growing by leaps and bounds. And so I would just invite you and love to be your host. Love to give you a tour of the studio, wherever that you're listening to Car Clinic right now.
should you be in our area, in our neck of the woods, we'd love to show you the studio. I do give tours. A lot of times folks will drop by because a lot of people drive to and vacation in Florida. We have some locals that come in as well, but not many locals really know that within this 15,000 square foot automotive service facility, where March this year, the 11th, we celebrated 48 years in automotive service. Yay! And that's a big deal. Successfully, 2017, which was not only a great year for us, but it was a great year because we were selected as the BBB, the Better Business Bureau Torch Award for Ethics in Business. And that included all businesses in a 2-county area, Escambia and Santa Rosa, for all businesses, not just automotive. But to be selected by the Better Business Bureau for the Torch Award in Ethics for Automotive Service, that's a double win. Or you can't really put a number on it. It's not a 2, it's not a 4. It's just a... and to that end, I mentioned this week that we had revived an engine. So I'll tell you about that, but I'm going to take a call from Craig first. But just remember that Hannah will take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546, and put you in the queue, and I will be glad to answer your calls. Or if you've got a car question, just feel free to ring me up, as they say in the UK. And we have a down under. So Frank, if you're listening down under, what is it? It's like Fabio and Jonathan. It's like 2 o'clock, I think, 2 a.m. or something down under at this time. But we have this gentleman that obviously has nothing better to do. Okay, so maybe he's a car guy. It's really interesting to get calls from him because he's in the thick of automotive. Pardon me. And when I say the thick of automotive, I mean that he calls, and I can tell that he knows more than the average car owner. So he definitely has some experience there. Okay, we're going to go to the phones now. I'll take a call from Craig, who's got an 04 Chevrolet pickup truck. Well, I guess if you ever owned a pickup, you're a pickup guy forever. Is that true? Well, Craig, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you.
Yes, I've always had a pickup truck. But, Bobby, I've got a mystery for you. My air conditioning's running great, and it'll go all day long, and then suddenly it just switches to hot air. And if I stop and turn the truck off and turn it back on, it goes back to air conditioning, and maybe an hour later it goes back to hot air again.
Okay, that's relatively easy. It's one of two things. I'm glad you called. Number one, all systems, and this is how I diagnose your problem and how I know it to be either a vacuum motor, a vacuum leak, or an actuator motor. The difference is this: a vacuum controlled HVAC system in an automobile uses vacuum from the engine, and that vacuum goes to a reservoir tank. It looks like a coffee can. That's the old-fashioned, but that's about for graphic purposes. So we have this engine that supplies vacuum to the coffee can. Well, when you step on the accelerator, you lose that engine vacuum. So the coffee can, the reservoir, would lose its vacuum, but there's a check valve that retains the vacuum in the can, and the vacuum in the reservoir feeds the dash, so that while you're accelerating up a hill or from a traffic light, and your vacuum goes up and down constantly on the engine, for the most part, you have this reservoir, this accumulated vacuum in this reservoir that keeps the heater and/or air conditioner in place. When and if that check valve, or when a vacuum port is disconnected from the engine, or a vacuum hose is cracked in an 04 vehicle, surely yours is, it's cracked or weakened, or even one of the vacuum motors in the dash that works, the blend doors that open the heater or the air conditioner, or a little of both, so that it matches the temperature that you've set. That's how that all works. When that vacuum goes away, the system automatically is designed to go to heat, or to blow out the top vent, which is where defrosters and heat blow out. Why? because since 1967 or so, in the mid-late 60s, the manufacturers, all manufacturers, made the decision that you can certainly drive a car without the air conditioner if you're in the humid, hot climate. You'd be uncomfortable, but no big deal. But you cannot drive a car without heater in North Dakota or in New York or Canada or in anywhere you have single-digit temperatures. So what that means is the air conditioner system must be healthy, i.e., the vacuum must be 100% okay, or else the system will say, wait a minute, I can't air conditioner because we have a failure problem in the system, therefore we switch to heat. And that's exactly, and that's exactly what your Chevrolet truck is doing. And to that end, in the later years, we don't use vacuum from the engine any longer because we have electronic computers. We use little motors that have sensors, and when those motors and or sensors they're called actuators, whereas they used to be old vacuum pots and vacuum motors like a vacuum advance, now they're electric motors that have gears and drives and position sensors. So as these little actuators open and close these doors to make the air conditioner work, and then the system, one of those motors is bad or the system has a problem, the system says, no more air conditioner, go to heat, because this is where we fail safe. We fail safe to heat. So your vehicle has an actuator motor that's defective in the dash, or maybe if it's, depending on, I have to look at a wiring and vacuum diagram, which is what we have in the system, in a repair. Depending on the year, make, and model of your vehicle, if you have a vacuum control system, the first thing you would do is go to the engine, and Craig, you can do this, go to the engine, look for a vacuum hose that is connected to the intake manifold and leads up to the firewall and goes through the firewall, and give it a tug, and also you can listen under the dash for any psst and those sorts of things. And you can, while the system is working, switch from air conditioner to cool, to heat, and to defrost. And then once you've got on air conditioner, go to inside or outside maximum, which is recirculation, and listen to the motor. So for instance, if you've got the air conditioner on high blow and not max, but on high blow speed, and then you go to recirculate, the blower speed will go, it will get louder because the blower motor can force more air through the core when it's on recirculation versus pulling outside air in from the cowl and pressurizing the cabin. So what I'm saying is, just like in your house, if you open the front door, you can't cool the house because you're trying to cool the world. Well, all cars are designed to draw outside air from the cowl and cool or heat that air. But if you really want to get it hot, or you really want to enjoy the nice cool air, you go to recirc, because now you're picking up air, the system is from the passenger's footwell and recirculating it through the dash core. So there's your marching orders. You need to find a shop and diagnose the actuators, whether it's vacuum system or electronic. Got it?
Yeah, I do. And it's funny you should mention that the vacuum canister, because I did kind of notice that every time I really stomp on the accelerator,
yeah, sure,
that's when it changes to heat.
Yeah, well, there you go. Which proves your system is vacuum operated. Go find that canister, and you will find the culprit. And there's probably a check valve, or it could even be a cracked hose, as I said. I'm glad you called, and send me your $5 in the mail.
Thank you very much. I will.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay, thanks, Craig. We have to take a hard break now. Come back, take a call from Glenn, and your call, 888-227-2546. Remember that. I'll see you on the other side. Enhance the performance of your battery with Optima chargers and maintainers. The Digital 400 maximizes battery life and performance with a built-in battery health mode. It also delivers a hybrid LED battery charging gauge with LCD screen and a quick-set battery type selection for easy operation. The Digital 1200 improves the performance of all Optima batteries as well as other high-performance AGM and flooded batteries. It recovers deeply discharged batteries and helps extend battery life. Learn more at OptimaBatteries.com. Talking tunes? No, not the ones on your radio, the ones that allow you to reprogram your vehicle's factory computer. The result is more power, more torque, and a better overall driving experience. Superchip's performance programmers can also be used to help with MPG by increasing the timing of the fuel delivery. With an advanced timing of fuel delivery, you get more complete burn, which basically means more power out of the fuel you already use. Find your perfect tune at superchips.com. That's superchips.com. This car repair spotlight brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. This week, a 2014 Kia was towed into the shop with 30,000 miles and a no-crank condition. Car Clinic service technician Jim Casey found a replacement battery already installed, but with serious corrosion and the system not charging. Corrosion was so bad that its battery sensor monitoring module and fuse block attached to the positive terminal had literally crumbled apart. We reached out to our local O'Reilly Auto Parts professional and ordered new parts. Casey then gave this low-mileage Kia a thorough digital inspection, pictures included, and determined its front brakes almost worn out. Another call to its owner, who had recently bought this car, to update our findings, followed by another call to our O'Reilly Auto Parts professional for new pads and rotors. All's well that ends well. Now, our Kia starts and stops like new. Another great reason our first call for parts is O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us today. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546 is the number for you to remember and to dial. Hannah will put you in the call, take your call, put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. Recently, Jim Bates with Johnson Controls joined us. What a nice guy, but more so than that, what an intelligent with regard to AGM batteries. And you know, that's I back AGM. I endorse AGM batteries because they're the best. I don't know if you've ever had a dead battery or been in that situation, but it's sort of a helpless feeling. And recently, one of our customers and a friend of mine had a new Lexus that had a dead battery. It was a 2018, 18, 19, 6 of 1. Anyway, it turned out that he had a radar detector attached to the vehicle, and vehicles today have battery protectors so that if you turn the radio on, and which you can do in a lot of cars without putting the key in, you just push the radio on. The radio will stay on for like 10 minutes, and then it will shut down to protect the battery. If you leave the lights on, the lights will turn off, or if you leave them in automatic, you know, they'll turn off. Even on my car, if I push the start button but don't touch the brake so it doesn't start, and the ignition switch is, quote, turned on, and then I walk away from the car will, in time, shut itself off. So it was my belief, and I was wrong, folks. That's right, I was wrong. It was my belief that this Lexus had a protector that would shut down all electronic connections to protect its battery. That wasn't the case because whoever installed the radar detector in this vehicle attached it to a hot all the time a battery wire, direct battery feed. And as a result, this gentleman had more cars than most of us, some of us, and he didn't drive this car often. And over a period of a week or two, or I don't know the length of time, the battery completely drained. And I took down a battery boost box and was unable to make it start. Even though I did all the things right according to my education, my information, and my experience with giving the battery in the vehicle time to be rejuvenated, recharged before I tried to crank it. But that didn't work. Ultimately, we had to use a commercial grade, or the dealer did, a commercial grade charger to restore the battery. And I said all that to say that as technically savvy and highly sophisticated as today's cars are, they still are vulnerable, especially when you tie in an accessory to a direct battery feed. And in this vehicle, the battery feed that the installer used, and I don't know who was the installer, nor does it matter, was in the headliner up by the rearview mirror. And as a result, that's what ran the battery down. So that was a learning experience for me. And there's another experience that I had, and we're going to go to the phones before I share that with you. And this other experience was all about, and we had this call, I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe even last week, where a gentleman had an Audi and said he opened the driver's door and the fuel pump ran. And I'll tell you, I was not aware of that. But the fact that it was an Audi didn't surprise me, because Audi has a very sophisticated methodology of doing things, and not necessarily that I approve of, although Audi doesn't ask for my approval. I do have an opinion. And so the bottom line, I've learned this week from our master, our in-house, Johnny Barr's master ASE certified technician, that Ford also has a similar, where as you use the key fob to unlock the door, the key fob signals, and of course, the car that you're going to get in, and it will turn the fuel pump on for about 3/4 of a second to prime the engine, so that when you get in the car, you hit the button, boom, it lights off, because the engine fuel system does lose its prime, even a healthy one, over time. And I thought then, and I think now, that could be a dangerous situation, because if the car was in your garage and it had a fuel leak, and you walked out and got in the car and you opened the driver's door, the interior light would, or the key, if you walked up to it and if you had it parked somewhere, and the key fob the car would recognize the key fob, and if you had a fuel leak, the pump would come on and flame the fire, or flame the fuel leak, or prime the fuel leak. So I don't know that I agree with the engineering in that, as again, not that I have to, but I just think that the old-fashioned way, which is a new way too, that a fuel pump should be primed, or the fuel system should be primed, is indeed when you either put the key in or you push the start button, and momentarily before the engine turns over, the fuel pump will run and prime the system, because the system must have fuel pressure or the car won't light off immediately. We'll take a call from Glenn, and we'll take a call from Roger, who called in first, and then we'll go to Glenn. Roger from New York, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for answering the call.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you for calling.
My problem is, I don't know if your screener told you what it is.
No, she just put down brake problems. 2 words, brake problems. Oh, 1935? A 1935 Ford?
That's correct.
Well, let's talk about that. Should be interesting. How can I help you? You probably know more about that car, Roger, than I.
Well, I put the car came. I got it. It had the disc brakes on the front and drum brakes to the back. Everything worked fine.
Okay.
However, I wanted disc brakes to the rear brake, and I put the conversion kit on those. And right now I'm having excessive pedal travel on
Sure.
my brake pedal.
That's correct. And so
And I'd like to
all right.
know how to correct that.
Okay. Did you also use the correct proportioning valve for that system?
Well, sir, I don't know if it's the correct one. There is a proportionate valve in the car, but I didn't touch it, mainly because I am not that knowledgeable about it. I didn't want to create a problem.
Okay. Well, a disc drum combination, which is what that car had been updated to. Forget that it was a 35, folks. That's out the window because someone had modified this vehicle. So, Roger, a disc drum setup uses a proportioning valve that applies pressure to the rear wheels before the front wheels, because the front does 70% of the stopping in all cars, and the rear just go along for the ride. That's why front pads can last, let's pick a number, 50,000, and the rear pads or the rear drums can go 100 grand. You know, I mean, that's just the way it is because there's not much stopping. So to that end, in order to keep the braking even, the brake pressure to the rear drums is applied prior to brake pressure to the front, about 500 psi, as I understand. Now, having said that, the proportioning valve does that, and it's a little valve with all of the lines from the master cylinder, the two lines, because you're using a dual stage master cylinder, and it's a two-cylinder pump. Well, it's a single pump, but two size syringe. That's what a master cylinder is. It's just a big syringe. So, but it has a different ports for front and rear. So the first thing that you have to determine, and you can do this with the company that you bought the rear disc kit from, to make sure that you have the right, tell them what kind of master cylinder, here's what you need to know. What kind of master cylinder is on the vehicle, which you can look on it and tell. What the front brake calipers are and the size of the front brake calipers and the rear, and get a correct proportioning valve. Now, let's say that you're on the other side of that and you got that squared away. The stroke of the master cylinder and the size of the bore of the master cylinder is very important. And the stroke of the master cylinder would be whether you have a 1-to-4 or 4-to-1 ratio. What that means is you've got a hinge of a pedal, you've got the length of the pedal, and then you have the push rod that's working the master cylinder. That push rod is closer to the hinge. Think of your arm as the pedal. I'm doing my arm here. Think of your arm. The upper part, my rotator cuff is the hinge. My hand is the brake pedal. So if you put the push rod 2 inches, and my arm is, say, 2 feet long or whatever, if you put the master cylinder pressure plunger pin like 3 inches from my joint of my shoulder, my hand is way down to my side, but when I move my hand, I have to move my hand a lot to make the hinge pin. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I do.
All right. There's a formula for that, and that formula is different between drum and disc brakes. And all disc brake cars have lower pedals locations than drum do, because calipers tend to spread apart. That's normal. Anyway, that's a very sophisticated application. I have a lot of experience, recent experience, in a 55 Chevrolet that we had to repair. This car was built by a shop in Illinois and was delivered to its owner after some 18 months with no brakes. The driver that took it off of this is a very expensive bill, 55 Chevrolet 2-door post. And I could go on, but I want just to tell you this. When the driver delivered the car on the truck, and he took the car off of the truck, out of the trailer, and delivered and handed the keys to the owner, he said, better be careful, this car doesn't have any brakes on it. And it was delivered that way, and we fixed it. And we spent quite a bit of time, energy, and re-engineering to repair it. And we put Willwood brakes on it, and front calipers, because it had one brand of calipers that had rear Willwood brakes. And then we ultimately changed the bore size of the master cylinder from 1 1/8 inch bore size to 1 inch so that we could increase the pressure so that we could get better aggressive stopping. The smaller the diameter of the master cylinder, the higher the pressure goes to the calipers. So those are things. And Roger, I'm going to put you back on, Jonathan, and let's put him back on hold. We've got Jim Bates in the queue. We're going to come back from the break with Jim Bates from Johnson Controls, and then take other calls. And then I'll get Roger. We want his email address so that we can communicate, because that's bigger than a bread box, but it's solvable, and that's the main thing. I'm going to come back with Jim Bates from Johnson Controls, and I see that Glenn and Honda. Honda. I'll be back. We recently sat down with Kate Searlick, Global Product Management Lead with Johnson Controls. Kate talked about the advantages of AGM batteries, noting they outperform traditional flooded batteries when partially charged, a key benefit if your normal driving consists of shorter trips. Let's hear from Kate.
Today's charging systems are not negatively affected by installing an AGM battery, and no modifications are needed for the alternator or the charging system. In fact, an AGM battery actually performs better when partially charged than a standard flooded battery. This means if you're not driving long enough distances to fully charge the battery, an AGM battery more efficiently performs and not consume additional power from the alternator. We were able to validate this in fleet testing we conducted in Las Vegas, where we witnessed AGM batteries providing up to twice the service life of a standard flooded battery.
AGM batteries help meet the electrical demands put on today's vehicles, and Johnson Controls is the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries. Learn more at autobatteries.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but morning's knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Great program today, folks. This winter's taught us how important the right choice is in automotive batteries. So we have a battery expert on the Car Clinic hotline with us now, Jim Bates. Jim has been training automotive teachers, technicians, and do-it-yourselfers for over 40 years in live workshops, in print, and with videos. He currently produces several YouTube channels, including The Battery Shop that you hear me talking about. Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us today.
Well, thank you for having me. Really glad to be here.
Let's get right to the meat of things. For Car Clinic listeners and viewers, and maybe DIYers as well, what goes into installing your own battery? Can you provide just a 30,000-foot view of tips and maybe best practices?
Well, sure. I think the most important thing is to be safe. You want to also research your project before you start, to be sure that you're familiar with the project, you have everything you need, you don't forget anything. You also want to be sure to use gloves and safety glasses when you're working anywhere near batteries. And then try to follow the original equipment manufacturer's procedures as best that you can. Of course, you can find those in things like service and repair manuals that you can pick up at both the dealer and local auto parts stores. And another great place to start would be the Battery Shop YouTube channel.
So let's talk a little bit about the Battery Shop YouTube channel. I understand that you've produced videos there, and that's a great go-to arena to learn not only how to install a battery, but give us an overview of all of the information, or at least the highlights of what one can expect to find on the YouTube channel, The Battery Shop.
Sure enough. The Battery Shop, of course, is a YouTube destination that we created mostly to provide battery replacement information that follows the original equipment procedures as much as possible anyway, so that technicians and do-it-yourselfers can replace the vehicle's battery, without hurting themselves safely and efficiently. And we really started out with what we like to call the difficult installations, where batteries are located under the seats and in the trunk and hiding under things that are in the engine compartment. So we have videos on the earlier installations too, because today's vehicles have a lot of electronics and computers and equipment. They need to have their memories kept alive during the replacement procedure. So we also use and explain the memory-saving options that everybody should use when we're replacing batteries for those vehicles. And we actually have a video on the different types of memory savers that are available out there in the Battery Shop. So they can watch that video too, just to learn about memory savers before they choose and use the correct one for the vehicle that they're working on. And of course, the Battery Shop also has other useful information that people, do-it-yourselfers, technicians can use on battery recycling, battery science, and technology too.
Well, that's really important, and you did touch on the battery save. And for all of you folks out there, specifically, when you remove the battery from your automobile, the vehicle has to retain a lot of information in presets, not only radio or mirror or seats, but there are other more important information. And Jim, that's some really great advice with regard to going to the Battery Shop YouTube channel to understand how you can actually remove the battery from the car, put a new battery in, and the car never really knows that it was without a battery because you have the battery save mode. Let's shift gears and talk about AGMs. That's absorbent glass mat batteries. They're superior to regular flooded battery types. How?
Well, first of all, they perform a whole lot better than the regular flooded types, and there's several reasons for that. Mainly, the big thing is they have this special mat that's made out of glass microfibers, and it's put in between the plates inside the battery that absorb the electrolyte. And so on a regular battery, the electrolyte sloshes around inside the battery and maybe not always covering all the plate surface, so that you don't have the type of performance that you need for electrons getting out and, charging it up, coming back in. So that's why they're called AGM, or absorbent glass mat batteries. And, of course, the mat keeps the electrolyte in constant contact with the entire plate surface, so you can imagine how much better that's going to work. These things can deliver maximum power better because of that particular contact between the mat and the plate. And another thing they do is they recharge a lot faster, too, which is really critical in vehicles that have start-stop systems, because on those vehicles, whenever the engine stops, the battery has to take over and, run everything on the vehicle, because your alternator is not putting anything out. So it's important that when the engine starts up again, that whatever's been used out of the battery gets put back in as quick as possible. So AGM batteries do a great job of that. And, of course, they're sealed and they're maintenance-free. So that means that you don't have to put any water in them. You don't, like a regular flooded battery sometimes need. But being a sealed battery, they're a lot safer, too.
Wow. We're talking with Jim Bates, Aftermarket Technical Training Center Manager for Johnson Controls. So, Jim, for car owners who really don't drive their car very often, and we run across this a great deal in the automotive service industry. Is a battery maintainer unit safe for use to help keep the battery's car charged, and to what point should you use a battery maintainer?
Well, I think that a modern battery maintainer certainly is safe. And what I mean by modern, I mean, ones that have been manufactured in the last few years. They're all electronic. Some of them have little microcomputers in them that monitor the level of charge that's in the battery, so that they know when to be charged a little bit more than others and when to be trickle charged or just maintained. And, of course, they're safe to use on automotive batteries that are in good shape. Charged, I should say, and in good shape, because it's really tough to charge up a dead battery with a maintainer. But, one that's in a vehicle that's not being used very often. Take, for instance, RVs, marine, off-road vehicles, stuff like that. But they work just as well in passenger cars and trucks, too. Optima has a great maintainer that's good for all types of batteries, old style, new style, every type, because they're kind of like a computer-controlled battery. They, like I was mentioning a few minutes ago, they sense the battery's condition and put the right kind of maintenance charge in it to keep it ready to go for as long as you have it on there.
So those modern chargers, as you referred to, are definitely not only safe, but they actually ping the battery on occasion and determine the needs of the battery. And if the battery doesn't need to be charged, they don't charge. And I've recommended for years the modern, as you say, the modern battery maintainer. Share with our content listeners and viewers where they can find batteries that are sold in the automotive industry that are manufactured by Johnson Controls.
Well, I guess we could start with the majority of the OEMs, as an example, Ford, GM, Hyundai, BMW, Jag. We provide batteries for those guys, and so their dealerships would be one place. We also provide batteries to the heavy-duty market, too, like Navistar and Club Car and places like that. So that's just dealership stuff. The other place you can find batteries that we private label for in the automotive aftermarket are people like AutoZone, Advanced Auto Parts, O'Reilly's, and, places like that.
And where are the batteries manufactured, basically, Jim?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. We actually have 55 manufacturing, recycling, and distribution centers throughout the globe. 17 of those facilities are strategically located here throughout the United States.
I have one last question, and this is really a question for you, and the answer is more for our Car Clinic listeners and viewers, and for me as well. I know that batteries are the #1 recycled product in the industry. At least that's what my belief is. And I understand there are many batteries that are not being recycled, and for those car owners, now listen up, folks, who do install their own batteries, where can they go to learn more about recycling, which is absolutely essential and important, not only to a clean environment, but to just the typical waste? Why would you waste a perfectly good battery that could be recycled? So share your experience and your knowledge with all of our Car Clinic listeners.
Be glad to. So you're exactly right. Batteries are currently the #1 recycled product in the automotive industry. About 99% of all the batteries sold are eventually returned as cores, and they get recycled, because they are valuable. And that 1% of batteries that are not being recycled, there's about 2 million batteries globally. So, yeah, so we suggest, here's a great site for you, recyclingmybattery.com.
Recyclingmybattery.com. got it.
That's a great place to start. And the Battery Shop has got some nice videos about recycling, and would be a good place to learn more about it, too.
Well, what an enlightening conversation. I know you're busy. I'll let you go. But I'll just tell you, it's really important that our Car Clinic listeners and the viewers at WatchBobbyLive.com can really get their teeth into, and no pun intended, the battery, because everything in a car starts at the battery. Again, Jim Bates, Automotive Aftermarket Technical Training Center Manager for Johnson Controls. Jim, it was really great to have you sharing the mic with me today.
Just a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
And folks, that's the kind of information that we'd like to bring to you to make sure that you know a little more about what your options are when you're changing a battery out. We'll take calls from Glenn now. Glenn, thank you so much for holding. It's your turn. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Okay, Bobby, thank you. Listen, let me give you the background of what's been done to now. I went to change a left rear turn signal bulb that had burnt out.
Okay.
And after I replaced everything, I lost my brake and turn lights in the back, as well as my instrument cluster panel is totally dead. And I just need to know where to go from there.
What year automobile is it, Glenn?
It's an 06 Dodge Grand Caravan.
Well, that system is controlled by a body control module, BCM. B is in Bobby. Body control, a body control module. Well, Jonathan's laughing at me. But anyway, body control modules control dash lights and radios and just a plethora of items. It's very likely that you have blown a fuse. It's also very likely that you have a printed circuit board issue in the back of that vehicle, because that's a common occurrence and it's not very expensive to repair. So the first thing that you'll want to do, well, of course, you probably don't have you don't have a wiring diagram, but you can look in the car's legend where the fuse boxes are. There's one main box under the hood of that vehicle, and flip that fuse box cover over and look at the legend, and it will tell you which fuse, and then take a test light. DVOM is better, but you could take a test light and look at all the fuses, touch them and test them, and you're probably going to find a fuse that is blown that provides power to the body control module. So you with me so far?
Yeah, I've checked most of the fuses, and they're visible, so the ones I can see visibly, and none of those are blown. So
okay, well, you said most of the fuses, so we don't care about most. We care about the fuse that feeds the taillights circuit and or the body control module. So that's what we care about. You have to have a wiring diagram in order to do that properly. You may be able to find a wiring diagram online by going to alldata.com. Alldata.com. There's a consumer AllData, and then there's the AllData Pro that we use that is a subscription. But you should be able to go to alldata.com and use their consumer website page and determine if they do share the wiring diagram. That's number one. Number two, Glenn, here's what I suggest. In addition to checking the wiring and the fuses for your vehicle, disconnect the negative side of the battery. Wait 10 to 15 seconds. Reconnect the negative side of the battery. And if your problem goes away, I'll be your hero. Because the body control module may well have seen an amperage or a current draw, excessive current draw, for a temporary short, and the body control module is designed so that it ejects itself from the electronic architecture of your vehicle, because it says, wait a minute, this car is going to be on fire, or it has a dead short in its electrical system, and I'm not going to get damaged, therefore I'm going to withdraw. I know that. I've actually seen that, repaired that, and had that happen on cars in our shop and on one of my cars years ago. So those are the two things that two directives that I have for you. Any questions?
No, I disconnected and cleaned the battery terminals, so they were off for probably 30, 45 seconds.
All right, so now you're into the first scenario, which is the power to the BCM. Yeah, okay. Hey, good luck. Thanks for your call. Thanks for your patience again. You waited quite a while.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome,
Bye-bye.
sir. Good luck. We'll take a call from Nebraska. Blaine in Nebraska. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Just as a fair warning, we are at the tail end of the first hour, so we may be interrupted by the music. If you hear the music, you'll know that in fact, we've got a minute left, so give me your question, and if we don't have time, you could call me at after the top of the hour because at 6 after I'll be back. So you've got a motor fuel question. What is your question for me?
Yes. Well, like proposing using butane as an automotive fuel. Like butane has more hydrogen like propane does, and a butane tank would not need the high pressure tank like propane does, and it could be pumped as a liquid into the injectors.
Well, you know, Blaine, that's a great question, and as I said, when I was forewarned, we're at the end of this program, so we'll have to hold your question over. Folks, I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Okay. Insurance 101, courtesy of Grundy Insurance. Collision coverage represents physical damage coverage for your vehicle when it hits or is hit by another object, including a car. You don't need to be driving, nor does the engine need to be turned on. But what if something happens to your vehicle that doesn't fall under collision coverage? That's why comprehensive coverage is important. It can provide protection against scenarios like fire, theft, flooding, and contact with an animal. Learn more at the Insurance 101 section at Grundy.com. That's Grundy.com. Berryman's B12 Chem Tool features HEST, or high-energy solvent technology. Using a combination of stronger solvents, HEST technology helps maximize one-tank cleanup of intake valves, fuel injectors, and combustion chambers. But don't take our word for it. Dennis H. was on his way to Carlsbad Caverns and used B12 Chem Tool on his motorhome. He experienced a 9% increase in MPG. Pretty amazing since the drive included a 7,000-foot climb into the mountains of New Mexico. Learn more about Berryman's B12 Chem Tool at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with. And by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll-free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And a special good morning. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So glad to have you every Saturday from 10 to noon right here from the center of the automotive universe. Also, I want to share this broadcast with our good friends, Mark Roush, with The Auto Channel. The Auto Channel is the source of automotive, all things automotive. And Mark has, he's pure genius in the articles that he writes and the information that he provides to everyone, yours truly included. And I'm a car guy, but you don't have to be a car guy to pick up on and to learn about what's new in the industry. Everything from fuels to electronics to new cars, used cars. He's just an individual that I'm proud to be partnered with, and we are partnered with the Auto Channel. So I'm remiss for not mentioning that from time to time, and so going forward I'll be promoting the Auto Channel, because you need to understand and you need to know what you've been missing. So shame on me. But going forward, shame on him if he doesn't fulfill what I say he's going to do, and I know he will. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this morning by Grundy Insurance. Grundy, inventors of the agreed value insurance policy. It's the safest way to protect your collector car. You can learn more, where? At Grundy.com. Your calls when I come back. 888 Car Clinic. Time for another edition of Cooling System Q&A, brought to you by Motorrad, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps. Why is the thermostat so important? Cooling system regulates engine temperature and helps prevent overheating. While it's comprised of several components, the thermostat plays a critical role with efficient cooling system operation. It must regulate coolant flow properly to maintain a specific engine operating temperature, in addition to providing quick warm-up. Motorrad's new stainless steel thermal element UltraStat is unmatched for corrosion resistance. Its revolutionary Reax wax mixture provides quicker reaction time. The UltraStat also features bilinear valve technology, which prevents thermal shock to cooling system components, gradually increasing coolant flow versus instant maximum flow found in traditional thermostats. The UltraStat precisely controls engine temperature to ensure the lowest emission standards, maximum fuel efficiency, and terrific interior cabin comfort. The Motorrad UltraStat line is the perfect thermostat upgrade option with coverage for over 160 million vehicles on the road today. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service. We recently had an 09 Honda Pilot come into the shop with 169,000 miles on the odometer. The vehicle owner said the cabin was starting to smell like coolant, and he was concerned. Upon closer inspection, we found a heater core leak. Choices were to keep the vehicle and make a repair, which at best is half a day's labor plus parts, or sell the vehicle and buy a different used car that could have its own set of problems. We presented a third option, K-Seal. You've heard me talk about K-Seal before. Well, I don't just talk about it, we actually use the product in our service shop. It's a pour-in solution designed to stop leaks and help prevent future leaks. Other sealers use sodium silicate, which has a tendency to clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair the leak without clogging. Our customer went with K-Seal, and 1 month later, no more leak. Learn more about K-Seal at kseal.com. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Let's get started. We're on the phone in Nebraska with Blaine, and Blaine wants to share some information and his opinion and thoughts about motor fuel. Blaine, I'll turn the mic to you. Again, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us this morning.
Yes, hello. Well, I have something that I thought you might like to toss around.
Sure.
About using butane for automotive fuel, and because it has more hydrogen like propane does, and it doesn't make such a high pressure fuel tank storage as propane does, and it could be used as like gasoline to pump it directly as a liquid into the injectors. So I just don't know if it's we'll find out if it's a poor idea or a better idea.
Well, here's the first thing with regard to any new idea, which is, of course, that's not a new idea, but here's the first thing that we have to look at. It's one word, infrastructure. So we have currently the infrastructure to pump liquid gasoline and liquid ethanol. and a blend or a blend of each, as well as liquid diesel fuel. And on any corner in any state in the nation, in any county, any city, any neighborhood, it's a no-brainer. Within, well, yours truly right now, I can think of 2 stations that are less than a half a mile from my current location. Maybe 3. So the bottom line is, it's infrastructure. That's the first thing that someone would have to pay for. That's number 1. Number 2, then there has to be test run on performance of different fuels, and then if all of that can be worked through, we have the OEMs, and the OEMs have to get on board. And that's almost like, it's not almost like, it's like pulling teeth to get an OEM to shift gears and say, okay, my car, the warranty on my engine. I mean, look at ethanol. Ethanol is safe for every car on the road, almost every car, for virtually every car. 85% of all cars are safe for ethanol, and yet the manufacturers are still debating whether or not E15, when we ought to be running E25 or E30. That's 30% ethanol. I mean, and that's not only my opinion, but Brazil, for all intents and purposes, the standard gasoline, like we have straight gasoline, E0 here, the standard gasoline in Brazil contains 26% ethanol. And of course, they have E100 as well. And they don't have any different cars or engines than we. In fact, their infrastructure is there, and their fleet, that means all the cars, are the same cars, but except that they're older than our cars, and yet Brazil's been on the ethanol since the mid-70s, so since the oil embargo. So if we're having so much difficulty, let's say we as a nation, Blaine, are having so much difficulty trying to burn ethanol, which was here before gasoline was. In 1896, Henry Ford made his first car, which was a quadricycle that ran 100% ethanol. And in 1908, he made the Model T, which was America's first flex fuel car in 1908. And yet, we still have, of course, along came Prohibition and John D. Rockefeller, and I could go there, but I won't. But the bottom line is, if we're having all of this same conversation over and over again, ad nauseum, I will tell you, I was, and I still am a supporter of ethanol, and I tired of arguing and in a friendly way or not so friendly way with people that are uneducated as to the viability of ethanol. Ethanol evaporates at 174 degrees. To even think that something could come out of the tailpipe nasty or damage your engine is ludicrous and shows a lack of education, education. And if you give someone the education and they still don't get it, it's because they don't want to get it, so the closed mind. It's not the ears that are important, it's what's between the ears. So you did hit a hot spot for me, and you know that, but I want to share something with you. So that's just the hurdles that we've been working through since the early 1900s. So is butane, propane going to happen? Not. Even if it was the holy grail of fuels, it's just not going to happen because API and oil-related manufacturing and big oil, it's called. I hesitate to use that because that's kind of a slur in my opinion. But that they control. They have the money. They control. You know, they have the money. They make the rule. But I want to share this with you, Blaine, before I let you go. And there are other callers. I promise you, callers, I'm going to go to everyone today. But here's something that I think, Blaine, what part of Nebraska do you live, sir?
Near North Platte.
Okay. Then let me share this with you. There's a profile analysis and quick facts that I want to share with all of the Car Clinic listeners today from the Energy Information Administration. This is from our government. In 2018, Kansas ranked among the top 5 states in total wind energy generation and had a larger share of electricity generated from wind energy, 36%, than any other state. Nebraska yours truly, Nebraska produced about 14% of the nation's fuel ethanol in 2016 and ranked second in the nation after Iowa in ethanol production and capacity. In 17, North Dakota ranked second in the nation after Texas in both crude oil production and proved crude oil reserves. And moving up into 18, renewable resources provided 70% of South Dakota's net electricity generation, 46% from hydroelectric power, and 24% from wind energy. So the state and territory energy profiles provide a profile analysis and quick facts for each of the 56 states and territories. In addition, the profiles that I have information from the U.S. Energy Information Administration offers 81 key data series for each state, including state rankings for 10 of the data series. So it's called State Energy Profiles, and the homepage is through the EIA. So just Google EIA or go to EIA.gov, Energy Information Administration. I wanted to share that today, and your call allowed me to do that and prompted me to do that. And I'm all for everything. Now, one question I do have, and then we're going to move on. You mentioned you didn't have to have a high pressure tank because you have this is a liquid fuel. So a liquid butane in 100% would still need to be to conserve it. Still have to have some pressure, or would it not? Or do you know?
Well, it has its own pressure if it's warm enough.
Okay.
I think about 32 degrees is where it vaporizes.
Okay, and so here's the bottom.
You need some heat on it.
Well, here's the bottom line. Yeah, it does. Here's the bottom line. Cold starts notwithstanding, but here's the bottom line, and I'll close out with this. And I really appreciate your call today. Thank you. The EPA has to make a decision whether or not it will allow exploration into energy blends of liquid gasoline and or diesel fuel. And the EPA can't even make a decision to wipe its nose, excuse my French, but that appears to me because the same argument about running E15 year-round has been the Renewable Fuel Association, Jeff Cooper, who is the president and CEO of the Renewable Fuels Association, it has been fighting this battle probably almost single-handedly, along with Growth Energy. These are both lobbyists and lobbying organizations and supporters of ethanol, and they're fighting the same battle for years and years and years and years and years. I have to give them credit. It's probably beyond what I would do and have done, but I will tell you, ask me. See, in closing, I'm celebrating 48 years in automotive service. So I'm in the trenches and every day, yesterday, the day before, and 48 years earlier and before then. Ask me how many customer cars have ever been damaged by ethanol fuel. And I will tell you the answer to that. That's called zero. Zero. Goose egg. I've yet to have any automobile come into my service facility that had a fuel problem related to ethanol. And yet we've had a lot of fuel problems because storage of fuel, whether it's ethanol blend or straight gasoline, it's the same maintenance regardless of the blend. So, and then one more statement, then I'm going to get off this subject. The marine industry has all but verbally, or they verbally have, but all but outlawed ethanol blends because it tears up their boats. That's the most ridiculous thing in the world. And they talk about fuel phase separation of water. So if anybody out there wants to talk about phase separation, dial me up at 888-227-2546. Phase separation. You think you know what it is? Call me now. After this break, of course. Why CarStar? Today's vehicles offer comforts and conveniences never imagined 20 years ago. Backup cameras, entertainment systems, start-stop technology, the list goes on. These technologies help avoid accidents. But what happens after a crash? Growth in electronic vehicle content adds to the collision repair cost and complexity. Damage a side view mirror or paint a bumper, and you may change the trajectory of that sensor. Adaptive headlights are another example. They actually turn the corner with you as you're turning the corner. The price for these headlights can reach $2,000. Now, more than ever, it's important to follow automaker guidelines for vehicle repairs. Don't compromise vehicle safety. CarStar is North America's largest multi-shop operator of independently owned repair facilities. CarStar delivers consistently high-quality repairs and the industry's highest customer satisfaction ratings. At CarStar, they don't just repair cars, they repair your car. Learn more at carstar.com. Folks, recently a '99 Chevrolet Blazer came into the shop. The owner was having problems with hesitation upon acceleration. He'd already changed out several parts: spark plugs, wires, ignition coil, mass airflow sensor, fuel filter, and the air filter element. He even changed the thermostat and coolant temperature sensor. Still had the same problem after putting a lot of money in this car, and he was frustrated. We dug a little deeper, cleaned the throttle body, and checked for trouble codes. No codes. So we recommended Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Carbon deposits and dirty fuel injector nozzles are a common problem with drivability in late model engines. We also recommended a higher quality gasoline. The customer noticed improvement on the first day, and only a few days and a few hundred miles later, the problem was completely gone. Berryman B12 Chem Tool features HEST, Berryman's exclusive high-energy solvent technology. The result is a more complete combination of available chemical technologies. Drive to BerrymanProducts.com for more information. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip
from Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, brought to you in part by Berryman Products and their, get this folks, B60 high mileage oil system rejuvenator. It conditions and revitalizes seals and gaskets to help stop engine oil leaks. And you can learn more about the Berryman B60 high mileage oil system rejuvenator and other great Berryman products. Where? BerrymanProducts.com. I want to make it easy for you. 888-227-2546. Lane in South Carolina, thank you for your patience and for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you. I've got a 2000 Toyota Avalon. Has about 250,000 miles on it. And it's just started when you get up to around 45 to 50 miles an hour, it just starts cutting out now and then, especially when you get up to the speed, and then when the RPMs drop down to about 1,500, it starts this sputtering. Let off the gas, and it's fine.
Well, yeah, you take the pressure off the engine. I mean, you know, if you're running and you get tired, you start walking. So if you walk an engine idling or let off the accelerator, you don't have any idea what it's doing because it has no work to do. So here's my question at 250,000 miles. First question, is the check engine light on, or has it come on and gone off?
No, nothing on it.
Okay. And if I ask you, have you serviced this car, and I'm not asking you if you've changed the oil and filter, Lane, I'm asking you if this car has been serviced, and here's what I mean by that. Injector cleaning, any oil leaks corrected, changes of the fluid in the transmission and the coolant system and power steering, brake flushes. So what would you say the overall condition of its body fluids are?
Haven't done a whole lot of that.
What
Just
I thought.
Regular oil changes. And
well,
the mechanic took it to him. He said there was some kind of sensors in the oil system. I don't know what he's talking about. And he changed the oil, and he thought there might be a little debris or something that was clogging a...
I don't know why I do that. I don't understand that. I mean, you're not going to change the oil and filter. That's two words, cop out. That's what it, quite candidly, this car's tired. It's been around the world, what, 10 times? No, 20, well, 10 times. 10 times, yeah, 25,000 miles. It's been around the world 10 times, and it's tired. So it's time to re-eval the condition of this vehicle. And the first thing that has to be done is it has to be, I say it, being the car, needs to be inspected and scanned by a professional ASE certified technician with the proper scan tools, so that person, that technician, can look into the electronic architecture of that vehicle and also activate some of its controls, electronic controls. I won't get into the list in the interest of time, but you need to have a good, what we call annual inspection, plus not only an annual inspection, which is all the things that I've mentioned, but also you need to have an EKG performed on this vehicle. So my suggestion is take it into a service shop of your choice that has a master certified technician. I would recommend an ASA member, Automotive Service Association, and you can go to, Lane, write this down, in South Carolina. You can go to asashop.org and find multiple shops within your area there and choose one or two. You can call them before you go to see which shop manager you connect with. And you can tell by the phone how you connect. And then you take that car and you say, I want two things. Three things, actually. First, I want an annual inspection performed on my car to give me an overview, and it's the same inspection as a pre-purchase inspection. You already own this car, but when you ask a service shop for a pre-purchase inspection, the technician automatically looks more deeply into the running of that automobile and the oil leaks and the brakes and the steering, because that technician doesn't know you own that car. That technician believes that you're looking at this stranger car to buy, and that technician has a different mindset. So, and actually, there should be no road check. It should be all pre-purchase inspection. That's one thing you want done, the annual pre-purchase inspection. And you want that same technician, that pair of qualified eyes, to drive that car. But first, you want to take that person for a ride and show that technician what your car's doing you don't like. And then pull over, let him or her drive, and experience what the car is doing you don't like. Now you're on the same page, and now when you leave your car, which you will do, you will have to do for half a day, when you leave your car, and you can say, okay, I'm not going to spend but a couple of $100 here. It's all I'm going to give you to give me an opinion. They can do a $200 worth of inspections and testing and what have you, and they will know when they get $200 deep whether or not they're going to need another $200, or whether or not they found some issues within the architecture. That is the correct way to take any automobile, much less a 250,000 mile 2000 Avalon. So that's what I would recommend to you. And if you came to my shop face to face, that's what I would say. You got it?
I got it. That's
okay.
Great.
Okay, my friend. You're welcome. Thanks for calling. Let's go from South Carolina to New York. I started to say North Carolina. North Carolina, South Carolina. I love the history on that. Bob in New York. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, thank you, Bobby.
Sure.
It's a very interesting show.
Thank you.
What I was calling about is a 2000 Chevrolet Cavalier, and with a P440 code. And I can tell you what I had gone through. I had smoke tested this, and at that time I had a rusted out fuel inlet pipe.
Right. Okay.
So replaced that. Then it passed the fuel the smoke test.
Right.
So then I silicone greased the round gasket in the gas cap to make sure I get a seal.
Gotcha.
That still made no difference. So then I tried a new gas cap, no difference. So at this point, I'm kind of thinking the fuel purge valve, and I'm wondering, is there any way to test those without having a $5,000 sophisticated tester where I can exercise it?
Bob, that is a great question, actually, Bob. So the answer to that is, if Johnny Bars, my master ASC tech, were here in the studio, I got to get him in one day. He would know exactly what to tell you. I'm not sure, and that you as an individual, and you mentioned smoke test. Well, how did you have a shop? Obviously, smoke test the evap system.
No, I used to be in a business. I have a homemade smoke tester, and so.
Well, have you found
like this?
after you put a new gas cap and you fix the rusty line, have you noticed or determined any other leakages via another smoke test to follow on?
No, I followed that. It's totally clean on the smoke test. That's why I figured I'm now thinking of the fuel purge valve.
Well, that is
and that's and it's up over the right rear
axle
wheel. Axle.
Yeah. Well, and Bob, I here's the challenge with that. If you can get to it, you can do no wrong by replacing that valve. My concern is that in the process of dropping that valve down and the hoses that go to it, you're also going to find other cracked and or corroded hoses because it's exposed. And just a quick info for you, we had an 04 Thunderbird in here with a purge valve and purge tank that was defective. Johnny had to remove the axle housing, the third member, independent suspension, from this car and drop it and set it on the floor. Didn't drop it, but set it on the floor, drop it from the car to get and gain access to this same identical component that you're talking about. So if you can see it and you can get to it, I would have no reservation, given the history that you just shared with me and the condition of the steel line that was corroded and rusted, and you had to fix that you shouldn't do that. And now, if you don't want to do that, that's your call. You can check with an O'Reilly Auto Parts and see what the cost of that unit is, and also make sure you get the O-rings. Anytime you deal with fuel systems or air conditioner, power steering, or any external lines, you must replace all O-rings. You cannot use an O-ring over again. And you must use like Seal Glide, which is also available at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Seal Glide, which is a general purpose lubricant, so that when you put two pieces of car together, a tube and a male and a female tube that has an O-ring, when you do that, you're assured that they slip together without being forced. That's really important. It's also important when you unplug an electronic male-female plug and you go to plug it back in to lubricate the weather seal. And this little weather seal is tiny, like the little finger in some cases. So that's what I would recommend that you perform. You got it, Bob?
Yeah, I got that. Well, one other thing on your comment about ethanol.
Yes, sir.
I had I've been in business a long, long time, a 74 Plymouth, and the fuel filters were plastic,
right?
And the alcohol would dissolve those. So before they changed them to metal.
Well, that's a funny thing you say that, because I have right outside the studio a generator, 8.5 kW generator that I bought in 1996. I've only used it one time in 2004 when Ivan came through and destroyed our city here. And it has a plastic fuel filter. I've replaced it one time that I can remember, so I'm going to say I replaced it twice since 1996, and it has E10 in it, and it sits there. And I just fired it this week as it would be. We had Bosch to come in, and I said, well, I want to make sure my generator runs, and it did. Anyway, great experience on my part. Bob, thank you so much for your call and for tuning in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Much appreciated. Well, folks, that's really interesting to me.
Really interesting.
It is. Well, he got away there. Bring him back up. See if he's... so, Bob, are you still with us? I guess not. So there's a break there. Okay. Sorry for the break, but that's what I got to do, and I'll come back and take Bob's call and Greg's call and your call at 888-227-2546. Don't go away. Talking tunes? No, not the ones on your radio. The ones that allow you to reprogram your vehicle's factory computer without even popping the hood. The result is more power, more torque, and a better overall driving experience. We recently sat down with Jim McGinn, Vice President of Marketing for Power Tech. Jim touched on some of the additional products Diablo Sport has to offer.
In addition to the Diablo Sport lineup of tuners, Diablo Sport also offers Jammer cold air intake systems and Hooker Blackheart exhaust kits. These kits work in concert with the Predator 2, Intune i3, and Trinity 2 programmers to deliver increased fuel economy, mileage, and overall performance for your gas truck or SUV.
Folks, Diablo Sports performance products make the perfect holiday gift, and now is a perfect time to buy with their holidays savings. How cool is that? You get up to 20% off SRP on their extensive lineup of premium performance products. Learn more at DiabloSport.com. That's DiabloSport.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I'm so delighted that you tuned in today. I had an opportunity to toss out a little passion, which, sometimes you just have to vent a little bit. And I do that with the most sincere appreciation for your opinion and also for the confidence that you show in me. I do want to share with you a latest press release from our partners at the Car Care Council, and it's about maintenance. It's really important to understand this is a not-for-profit organization. You can go to carcare.org and put your VIN number, and you get automatic reminders. It's just videos and more information than any given automotive website that I can think of, except for the Auto Channel and our good friend, Bob Gordon and Mark Roush. So from the Car Care Council, if you're putting off care on your car care on your automobile, you should stop stalling around. Overdue for an oil change or a brake inspection, whatever the service, by postponing necessary maintenance, you may be causing extensive damage to your vehicle and increasing the chance of a breakdown. That is one of the most accurate statements ever made. With the National Car Care Month in April upon us, the nonprofit Car Care Council suggests you stop stalling and get your vehicle serviced today, and Bobby Likis approves of that statement. The Car Care Council recommends following a vehicle service schedule, keeping a free copy of their Car Care Council Car Care Guide in the glove box, and performing the most common routine maintenance procedures to keep your vehicle performing at its best. And I will give you 3 items, and then we'll move on and take a call from Bob in New York. Check the brake system. Check annually and have the brake linings, rotors, pads, and drums inspected at each oil change. To that end, we recently, if you're a listener to Car Clinic, know that we bought a smart car in Boston and drove that car down. It had 11,000 miles. Now it has 1,511 more miles on it from Boston to here. Just yesterday, we removed the rear brakes to clean and service the rear brakes. I knew this needed to be done at 13,000 miles because you could pull the handbrake up and it had excessive slack in it. Now, you move the brake 3 inches, the handbrake 3 inches, and it locks the rear brakes. We also painted the rear drums on the outside because they were showing rust, some of the salt from on this early young smart car. So it's important for you to do a similar if you have drum brakes especially, because self-adjusting brakes on the rear don't self-adjust. It's just a fact of life. Number 2, check the hoses and belts to make sure they're not cracked, brittle, frayed, loose, or showing signs of age. And number 3, check the wipers and the lighting in order that you can see and be seen, and check that all exterior and interior lighting is working properly, and then replace worn wiper blades. You should do that twice a year, but no less than annually. That's information about car care from the Car Care Council, our partners. Go to carcare.org for more information, and keep your car in your garage and out of mine. Let's go to Bob in New York. Bob, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, Bobby, thank you for taking my call again. This is the 3rd time I've called you in about the last 3 weeks.
Well, terrific. I'd love to have you in the house.
Yeah, I have a 2018 Ford Focus, and I talked to you about the start-stop thing and all of that a few weeks ago. But here's my question now. I just broke 7,000 miles. The owner's manual is not very good, and I'm wondering what your thoughts are about running synthetic or synthetic blend oil up between 7,000 and 10,000 miles. I'm old school, where 5,000 miles was the mark.
We recommend 5,000 mile oil changes, and on my personal car, I lean toward the 7,000 mile. 7,500 is my choke threshold. My guilt threshold just won't let me go past 7,500. And the reason that I say that is that in my business, which is automotive service and repair and pre-repair, the prevention of repair, we see so many cars that have problems, especially later model newer cars, that are caused by, number 1, a lack of oil change. Number 2, by the wrong, not a lot of cars, but this does happen, has happened, the wrong viscosity oil, because engines have cylinder deactivation solenoids with tiny orifices, and debris will stop those orifices up, and that engine light will come on. and sometimes that light doesn't come on, but the engine starts to limp home, and then shortly the light comes on afterwards. So it's better to be proactive and change the oil. So I'm going to say with synthetic oil, 7,500 miles. I'm going to say with conventional oil, no more than 5,000. Having said that, there are some instances and some cases and scenarios where you should change the oil every 3,000 miles because of short trips. And those short trips are so harmful to an engine because the oil temperature never reaches, and even if it did reach the 220 mark, which is where it likes to be and where the car should be, it doesn't stay there long enough to boil out the condensation that every engine creates every morning of its life when you fire that engine. And that condensation you see coming out the tailpipe is also inside the crankcase, and oil and water doesn't mix, and so that's your corrosion factor on the inside. So for you, at 7,000 miles, it is absolutely essential and time for you to change the oil, and I highly recommend a synthetic. I recommend a Wix filter, and Wix makes a lot of, the Napa Gold is a Wix-made filter, so I would recommend a synthetic oil. You can choose your brand that you like. Mobil One is a well-known brand that's just been around forever. Castrol makes it. Of course, Royal Purple makes synthetic oil. So that's what I'd recommend, Bob. And then I'd recommend, if you drive 15,000 miles a year, I'd recommend changing it every 6 months. If you drive 5,000 miles a year and you use synthetic, you can change it annually, but no longer than annually. You got a question?
Yes. Now, is there a problem going from pure synthetic to synthetic blend? And would the oil change timing or mileage drop if you went to a blend?
No, a blend's good oil. Valvoline DuraBlend was one of the first blends ever that I was familiar with, and I used it, religiously at one point in my career. But the bottom line is, it is not. There's no advantage to changing brands and or formulas of oil, because there's a certain percentage of the additives that do treat the surfaces of metal. And when I say treat, metal is porous, very much so. If you look at the metal of an inside of an engine under a microscope, you would say, wow, this looks like Nevada. It looks like the Grand Canyon. I mean, the surface is really porous. So, that's a good thing, because without the porosity, there's no place for the oil to be. The single biggest draw of an engine, friction-wise, is the rings on the cylinder wall and the pistons on the cylinder wall. So a cylinder wall should be as slick as it possibly can be honed. The problem is, if you do that and you make it as slick as it can possibly be, you have no pores for the oil, and so you damage the engine. So the trick is, my good friend Andrew Randolph, Dr. Randolph, who is the architecture control for Dale Earnhardt, Earnhardt Childress Racing, rather, ECR, Earnhardt Childress Racing, never shared with me their finish on their cylinder wall, although I asked him several times, and he said, if I told you, I'd have to kill you. But anyway, he didn't say that, but that's what I felt. So here's the bottom line. I'm sure what they do and what Ford and a lot of manufacturers do is to hone the cylinder as fine and as shiny as they can make it to reduce the friction, to add MPG, and then they laser finish so that the nanoparticles, and that's going to be the next, and it's not going to be, it is the next best lubrication in certain applications. Everything's application sensitive, everything. Tire size, fuels, octane, compression ratio, everything's application sensitive. So a slick chrome finish on a cylinder wall and a low tension oil and compression ring with laser finish on the wall and nanotechnology with regard to oil would increase MPG greatly. whatever greatly means. It could be 10%, 2%, 5%, but if you've got a late model engine that's already delivering, like my heavy luxury car, 27 miles per gallon at 79 miles per hour, and you get a 3% increase, you've done some good there. Just like drag racing or marathon, a tenth here, a tenth there becomes a half a tenth. So anyway, enough about that, Bob, but you need to change the oil and filter now in your vehicle. I would recommend in that engine a synthetic versus, well, how many miles do you drive a year?
Oh, I probably hit 15,000.
Well, then I would use synthetic, and I would change it every 7,500 miles. And you've got the original factory fill at 7,000 miles, so by all means, get it out. And just know this, and folks, one more note, and this is worth listening to. When you brush your teeth, and you're finished brushing your teeth vigorously, and then you spit out what's in your mouth, what is the next thing that you do? You don't walk away from the sink and turn the water off and you rinse your mouth. And then what is the next thing you do? You rinse your mouth probably twice. And even on the second rinse, you still have some toothpaste and whatever debris was brushed off your teeth that comes out. Well, guess what? When you change the oil and filter, it's like brushing your teeth and you don't even rinse. Because when we drain the oil from your engine, there's a lot of stuff left in the engine that deteriorates and damages the fresh fill of oil. The longer you go on the first fill, the more damage is applied to the new batch coming in, and you multiply that times 4, and I'm thinking of Mercedes, it says change oil every 15,000, and Porsche every 15,000 miles. By the time you get 60,000 miles and you've gone 4 oil changes, that last oil change sees nothing but really dirt as compared to if it had been changed more often. It's common. And the answer to that would be, from someone who's anal about their cars, to use a dialysis machine and a 5-micron filter on the old oil, which I did on my Viper, and then drain that and then put the new oil, and new oil doesn't get damaged. So the factory fill, because we have such great engines and metallurgy and machining processes, the factory fill doesn't get, the oil factory fill doesn't get damaged like it did before with particles, but there is a certain amount of wear in. So it's time, Bob, for you to pull your oil, your factory fill out. I recommend synthetic because that's what I use in my car, and change it every 7,500 miles, oil and filter always. Let's go to Greg in Texas. Greg, thank you for holding. You're on the air.
Thank you, Bobby, for taking my call.
You're welcome, sir.
Love your show.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments.
All right, I've got a 09 Dodge Ram pickup 1500, and it came with dual beam headlights, not the quads, the duals, and they were so low intensity and have been since the day I bought it. And I was in for service, and we bought my wife a 18 Ram with quad headlights.
Right.
Okay. So I drove the thing home at night, and I couldn't believe the difference.
I know, it's unbelievable.
I mean, I could actually see.
Yes.
I could drive down the road with those dual beam headlights on bright and never get flashed. So I went on eBay, bought a set of quads for my 09.
Okay.
And I put them in. I had them put in yesterday.
Okay.
And I was going to drive it last night, and I was too tired. I got up this morning. It was still dark, and I drove it. And I said, "Whoa!" I couldn't see 10 feet in front of me. And I brought it back.
So Greg, not to interrupt you, but did you buy the light assemblies that had the correct bulbs and reflectors unit? The whole thing.
I bought the bulb.
The
no,
bulbs.
I bought the bulb.
That doesn't work. And here's a reason. I'm out of time. Is why I interrupted you. So next week I'd like for you to call and let's take up this because I do have some information for you, because you can't. The only way to update, not the only way, the proper way to update an older vehicle is with Sylvania Ultra Stars. They're 50% brighter and they don't draw as much current as the OE factory. So that's the easiest, least expensive. They're sold at O'Reilly Auto Parts, and I recommend them. I use them. I put them in my cars, and they're Ultra Star by Sylvania. If you upgrade your light bulbs using another type of bulb that requires a different reflector, they don't work because they're different kinds. I don't have the time to get into that today, but so Greg, if you would call me next week, and folks, I apologize. I know there are other callers in the queue, but I'm out of time today. I would want to remind you about Grundy Car Insurance, collector car insurance, with their fantastic agreed value policy. They founded it. It's fantastic, as is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. See you next week. Likis, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Springtime means yard work and lots of it. So when it's time to replace the battery in your riding lawnmower or tractor, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help. The professional parts people will help you find just the right Superstart lawn and garden battery to make sure your mower starts over and over again. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Coolant leaks can be expensive, with repairs costing a few $1,000s or more. And these problems often hit vehicles late in life when they may be only worth a few $1,000s. There is an alternative. K-Seal is a pour-in solution designed to stop leaks and help prevent future leaks. Older sealers use sodium silicate, which has a tendency to clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair the leak without clogging. Learn more about K-Seal at kseal.com. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning.